listening to Real Estate Radio on AM 830 KLAA. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Ron Siegel.
Good morning, Southern California. Welcome to Ron Siegel's Real Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. Real Talk is a show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, and even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the most important hour of radio on AM 830, and thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's my message, and I'll be delivering it every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. right here on KLAA AM 830 in association with ESPN. And we have a great show planned for you today. We're going to talk a lot about what's been going on in the markets, but before we get to that, please help me in welcoming our featured guest, Zen Ziejewski of Keller Williams Realty. Easy for me to say. Good morning, Zen.
Good morning, Ron. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. And we get to talk a little bit about your alma mater, USC against UCLA. What a game.
Nice. Yes. Finally ending the season on a great note, and it was a great game. Especially Bradford just running all over those Bruins was a beautiful sight last night.
That sure was. After last week, boy, that was great. That was after last week's debacle against Notre Dame and watching, having our hearts ripped out.
Yes, and it was painful because my mother-in-law is a huge Notre Dame fan, and so I had to eat crow on that one.
You and me both. My mother-in-law grew up right outside of South Bend, so I know the feeling. But we're going to get into a little bit of our real estate, and we've got a ton of stuff to talk about this morning. So just a quick reminder of the goals of the show: to build a housing market by teaching you the opportunities of this marketplace, to protect you, the big banks, the media, the salesmen, the Wall Street gangsters. This is the place where you can get the information you need to make educated decisions. To enhance your lifestyle, we'll let the rest of the media sell negativity. We're in here to have fun and celebrate life in the great SoCal. And a reminder, this is your show. I'm the host, but we want you to have an input into the show, so please feel free at any time if you have real estate questions. Drop us a line at realestateradio.com, and we'll see if we can get those answers to you either off air, or if it's something that we believe that a lot of folks would like to hear, we'll bring it right on air and discuss it on air as well. And finally, to get copies of any of the reports we discuss on air, feel free to connect with us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Real Estate Radio with Ron. No spaces in there. Just go to the Facebook page, and we post a link to all of the reports that I talk about on air. So that is the information there, and feel free to come and get that from us. So as we look at the insights of the week in real estate or in the markets, financial markets, the biggest thing seems to be employment. And if you're a follower of the market, probably the biggest voice when it comes to discussing the economy and where the markets are heading will probably be the Fed chairman, Mr. Bernanke. But in a very, very close second to him is going to be one of the largest investors of bonds in the private sector, and that would be a gentleman right here in Newport Beach. His name is Bill Gross, and he runs a huge fund called PIMCO. They buy tons and tons of bonds on a regular basis. And on a monthly basis, Mr. Gross comes out with his investment outlook. And his investment outlook for December is actually titled Allentown. And it was based on the Billy Joel 1982 song. And just a little excerpt of what he started with is, well, we're living here in Allentown, and they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're killing time, filling out forms, standing in line, and we're living here in Allentown. And he goes on to discuss in this report, and again, the report is available on the Facebook page, that until we solve our biggest problem in our economy will not get better. And our biggest problem, according to Mr. Gross and many others, is employment. Now, we've been listening over the last week about the discussions within Congress about extending the Bush tax cuts, and I'm not here to talk about whether that's good or bad. I do have my own opinions, obviously. But talking about taxing those people more who create jobs and the employers. And one of the things that a lot of people don't think about is every single person in the United States is a small business. Now, you may not employ others, but you may be a small business as yourself. You are offering a service, your time. You're trading your time for money. So you're a small business. Now, when we've got the government out offering 99 weeks of unemployment and now talking about extending that, which in my opinion is crazy. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I do have compassion for those who really need the unemployment. But after 99 weeks, people really need to realize that they are a small business and they need to think about supply and demand. There's obviously not demand for the service you're offering at the price you're offering it. Now, I spent a lot of time studying economics at Chapman College, now Chapman University, and I understand that supply and demand will always intersect at a price. So maybe what needs to be done is people need to start thinking, if they really want a job, cut down the price that they're looking to charge for their service, their time. And there might be a job that's out there at that point. The other thing that I challenge people to think about is when we think about where our interest rates and our bond market has gone recently, people are thinking about our bonds. November 4th really is when we hit the top of the bond market. And interest rates obviously are the opposite. It's a counter effect. So whenever bonds go up, interest rates go down. Bonds go down, interest rates go up. So we hit that point where the bonds topped out, the interest rates bottomed out. And the reason that that's happening is the U.S. has always been seen as the safe haven whenever there's turbulence around the world. So when we hear about Portugal and Ireland and maybe Spain needing some bailouts, the problem right now is the U.S. is the one that's bailing them out. Our Federal Reserve is going in to bail them out either directly or through the IMF. Now, if the U.S. really is becoming de facto in these areas as the Bank of Ireland, the Bank of Portugal, maybe the Bank of Spain, what investor in their right mind would put their money in low-yielding U.S. areas or bonds when the U.S. is in essence Ireland? We're supporting them. We won't let them fail. So again, it gets back to our capitalist society. We need to let that risk get back into the market, and we'll see how much better our economy starts doing by just making a couple of simple changes and letting the market work the way the market is supposed to work. Now, we did get some good information over this past week in the markets as well. President Obama issued his pay freeze on federal employees, which was kind of interesting. And then I listened to another report that said federal employees get increases based on 3 different methods. And I don't remember the specifics of it, but only one of them is being frozen. So, Zen, you might like this interesting piece of information. I was listening to this on one of the business channels. Can you believe that as a pay freeze, you can possibly get a $20,000 increase in your salary?
Sign me up.
I mean, I just couldn't believe that they talk about pay freeze, but it could be $20,000 in increase. So that's kind of an interesting one. Wednesday, we got the labor report. 93,000 private sector jobs increase. That was a good one. But then we saw the flip side on Friday where our unemployment rate went to 9.8%. And that really, I don't understand how they come up with these numbers, because we talk about unemployment at 9.8%. But then they also talk about that's only the people that are still looking for a job. And they say that the real unemployment is like 16%. So how do we get the differentiation between that extra 6.2? I mean, do we just get to say what we want it to be or in hopes? Kind of an interesting scenario. So we did see another volatile week this week in mortgage rates. And I, again, urge you, when you're looking at things, time does not stand still for anybody. I hear a lot of people talking that they're going to wait till after the holidays to deal with their mortgage or their house. And Zen and I are going to chat a little bit about, timing of these things a little bit later on in the show. But the fact of the matter is time doesn't stand still, and if interest rates continue creeping up, and you wait till after the holidays to do something about your family's goals and objectives with respect to your mortgage, have you benefited your family at all? You know, I tell a lot of my clients that November 4th was the best date. You know, if you had locked that day, it really made sense. So now I say, what are interest rates going to do now? Well, the fact of the matter is the bonds have fallen off a cliff, and they will always, always, always overreact. So now what you need to really be ready for is that correction. And generally the correction is 50% from the very bottom to the top. And if you're not dealing with a loan officer that knows these things and is watching these things for you on a daily basis, you really need to be finding another loan officer that is looking out for the best interest of you and your family. And we're going to talk more about this as we continue on this morning. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with Ron Siegel, discussing your real estate, current events in the financial markets. And when Zen and I come back, we're going to talk about the timing, the holidays, about how real estate is affected by the holidays. We might even get into some of the emails we've been receiving at realestateradio.com. Remember to reach me anytime. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or realestateradio.com. Stay tuned to the Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back in just a few.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.com for more info. That's realestateradio.com.
This is Mark Renaro, GM of Connell Nissan Costa Mesa, with some great news. We've just reduced the price of our new and pre-owned inventory. The reduced price is clearly posted on the vehicle and our website, ConnellNissan.com. Get the very best value on your next purchase without the car guy haggle. This includes those hard-to-find Altimas, Maximas, Murano, Rogue, and even the GTR. We're conveniently located just 1 mile south of the 405 on Harbor Boulevard. Visit us at ConnellNissan.com. Connell Nissan, family-owned, 46 years, is the #1 GTR dealer in the USA.
Real Estate Radio is hosted by local real estate and finance expert Ron Siegel. The purpose of this show is to help consumers understand what's really going on in our local real estate market. We're teaching you the why and the how-to, so you'll always be one step ahead of everyone else. Whether you need to sell your home for top dollar, refinance and save money, or even buy a bargain in Southern California, Ron Siegel can help. Call Ron directly at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Take advantage of speaking with Ron anytime you're entering a real estate transaction. Having someone who can answer all of your questions that truly cares about you and your family's best interest is priceless. Call Ron Siegel today and you'll be glad you did. 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or you can visit realestateradio.com for more info. Reverse mortgages are loans against the equity of a senior American's home. With a reverse mortgage, the homeowner can convert their home equity into cash. It also benefits homeowners in many other ways. With most types of the loans, the lender verifies your income and uses that figure to determine the amount you'll be able to pay. You don't have to satisfy the monthly repayments with a reverse mortgage. Homeowners over the age of 62 years may apply for a reverse mortgage, even without any income. For more information about reverse mortgages, just call our off-air number at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit realestateradio.com and click the free workshop button.
Are you using retirement money to pay bills? If you are, you're burning your future. You can eliminate debt and save your retirement through bankruptcy. I'm John Greifendorf, founder of Greifendorf Law Offices. We can help you. Call us today, 1-800-861-0786. That's 1-800-861-0786. Or find us on the web at Banco Law. That's BANCOLaw.com. We are a debt relief agency helping people file under the bankruptcy code.
Have you asked your employer what kind of home mortgage benefits your company offers? Cal Home Benefits has a complete range of home and mortgage benefits, which can save you $5,000 to $10,000 on your living expenses, and the benefit program is completely free to California businesses and groups. If your company or group is not offering home and mortgage benefits, please visit calhomebenefits.com or call 1-800-998-1990. That's 1-800-998-1990. It's free to the organization and can save you thousands.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Lee, board operator for KLAA. On behalf of the AM 830 staff, we'd like to wish you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio with local expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Ron Siegel on the Real Estate Radio Network. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's my message, and I'll be delivering it every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on KLAA, AM 830, in association with ESPN. And please join me in welcoming our featured guest this morning, Zen Ziejewski of Keller Williams Realty. Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
And we've been talking about our fun time watching USC beat UCLA and a little bit about what's been happening in the employment markets. And as you're aware, Ron Siegel's Real Talk is not only designed to educate but to entertain Southern California. And the best place to start is a real story of how we've helped someone. Please be sure that you know if you ever have any real estate questions, there is a number you can call for our advice. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. And this morning we're going to talk a little bit about Mrs. JJ. And Mrs. JJ is 70 years old. Spoke to her earlier this week. And she's getting divorced. She and her husband have not a long-term marriage, but she and her husband had a few properties. They sold one, got one that he's going to keep, one that she's going to keep. And she's got about $2,100 a month in income. The property she's keeping, though, has a payment of about $1,890. Youch! I don't know how that's going to work out too well, but she's also going to get about $150,000 in cash out of the divorce. And she called me with the idea of needing to put some more money into the property because, you know, her numbers just don't work in order to get to a debt-to-income ratio. Her interest rate right now is at 6.25%, but we looked at that, and she could actually finance, and even in today's market where the rates have gone up so much, you know, in the high 4s. But that's still, unless she puts some good amount of money down, it's still going to use up almost all of her money. So she was looking at, you know, putting maybe $125,000 of her cash into the property, refinancing it at a lower amount, getting the payment down to about $900 or $1,000, still out of that $2,100, so it's not going to leave her a whole lot of money. Well, when we did the analysis of it, we looked at another solution. Now, Mrs. JJ is 70 years old. We could do a reverse mortgage for her. She'd have absolutely no payment. She still has to get the balance down a little bit, not nearly as much as using up all of her cash. Probably use up about 2/3 of what she has. But where she was trying to either on the current day live on $300 a month after her payment, you know, or refinancing and having to live on $1,100 a month, well, now she'd be looking at being able to keep that whole $2,100, not having a payment, using the reverse mortgage. She'd never have a payment for the rest of her life. You know, just a solution for somebody. And by looking at people's long-term goals and objectives, we think that's the most important thing that we can do for somebody and try and solve the issues. So, again, I suggest always talk to a professional. Look at your goals and objectives.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And there's always a solution, as long as you're really looking for it and you're working with a professional. So now the next issue that we had here is, as we talked about, one of the goals being to protect you. Now, Fannie Mae came out with a survey, and this is where I really distrust a lot of the mainstream media. And you look at what they're telling our society right now. Now, here's the article that came out December 3rd, Fannie Mae National Housing Survey. It's true that, and I'm going to quote right here, it's true that the number of people who believe that now is a good time to buy a home dipped 2% in June. That's the headline. The amount of people that want to buy a home dipped 2%. Take a wild guess. Dan, maybe you can help. Take a wild guess how many people still think it's a good time to buy.
98%. And it was in June after the tax credit had expired, so a lot of the people were off the fence at that point.
So, I mean, can you believe that we've got 2% say it's not a good time? So that's the headline. Then we look at the Wall Street Journal, November 24th. Americans growing more cautious on housing. Now, I don't know. I'm a little leery there. Time Magazine, November 24th. Housing drop, more bad news for the economy. So again, I go back to the wanting the truth. Let's talk about the truth. 68% of the people think now is the time to buy. Shouldn't that be good news? We elect the president of this country with barely 50% of the voters agreeing. That was a good thing. I mean, people agreed. We went into a election. We all got behind our president. But when 68% agree on something, that's not good news. Can someone help me with that? So here were the revealing findings of the report. Number one, and Zen, I'm going to have you jump into these and just throw out your first thoughts as I share these. People trust home ownership as an investment over buying stocks. 66% to 16%.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what, 4-1?
Yeah. I mean, my clients here, I mean, the stock market and where it's been today in the market and versus the housing of where we're going to go, especially with the next generation so large, I agree 100%.
Okay, here's the next one. 96% of homeowners feel that home ownership has been a positive experience. Can we find anything that 96% of our population agrees on?
I didn't even think that was possible.
62% of renters have long-term ownership aspirations.
Absolutely.
And you know something, when you look at the Fannie Mae survey, not one of these things are talking about price. Their top things all have to do with lifestyle. Americans continue to expect home rental prices to rise more than home prices over the next year. Americans believe it is more likely that home rental prices will go up rather than go down by a ratio of almost 4-1. There we talk about cost. Now, this is the best time. Now, you've been in real estate for a lot of years.
Right, 20 plus.
20 plus years. When was the last time you were able to talk to your buyers about interest rates in the fours?
Never.
20 plus years professional in real estate. So, of course, these are the best times to buy. That's why it just drives me batty when I see the headlines dissuading people or giving people any idea that they shouldn't be looking right now to buy real estate. I just don't get it.
Well, especially here in California right now with the affordability based on the interest rates, based on all of the factors that it costs, because people don't focus on price, but everything else. This is one of the most affordable times we've had to buy real estate, especially here in Southern California and Orange County. So taking advantage of these rates and the market is critical at this time.
It's unbelievable. We've got, what was it? I'm not a big shopper, but I think, last Friday they called Black Friday? Everybody gets real excited because things go on sale.
I bought a really cheap TV.
Okay. But you also told me that you've got a house that's for sale, that's on sale.
I do.
Right?
I have a smoking deal.
Okay, and today is not Black Friday, but, it could be Red Hot Sunday. So tell us a little bit about this smoking deal, because that's a hot deal.
I do. I have a hot buy right now. It's an approved short sale. It is ready to go. That means the bank has said, we are willing to take the loss on this. It sold in 2005 for $671,000.
Wow.
And we have got it approved for $389,000.
$671,000.
$389,000. 42% below what it sold for at the last sale. That is Black Friday.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And it's in a great community. It's in the gated community golf course of San Juan Hills. It's 2 bedrooms, a large loft, detached property with a large yard for $389,000, 2-car garage.
Think people can make any money on that?
Yeah.
More money, more money, more money.
I mean, holy cow. If you want to get a hold of Zen to talk about this property right now, well, he's busy broadcasting right now, so he can't talk right now, but Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Again, Zen's a little busy.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
But I'll forward you his contact information. I'll forward your information to him. If you would like to buy a smoking deal, Zen's got it. So, we talk about now being the time. And I looked at an article on Trulia, and again, not everything we read is always going to be, especially on the internet. Zen and I talked on our pre-show meeting about the need for professional advice. And you're not going to find smoking deals like what Zen just talked about on the internet.
Smoking!
But on the internet, I did find an article that says about 5 tips for showing and selling your home during the holidays. And number 1 says, don't, if you don't have to. In my opinion, now Zen, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a realtor. I'm just a numbers guy. I thought that made no sense to me.
Yeah, we had this discussion, and I am a strong believer of the holidays if you have to sell, because the biggest thing is the buyers that are out looking during the holidays, they are not the looky-loos. They are the serious ones. So your quality of buyer is out there that is coming through your door. So if you're going to have fewer showings, but the people that are coming through are the ones that want to buy your house, absolutely, it's a great time. So you and I both disagree on that.
Yeah, I mean, that one just doesn't make sense to me, unless there was one caveat, Zen, you and I talked about. If you really like having a lot of looky-loos come through your house, and you really like being displaced, and you really, just want to have a bunch of strangers walking through your house, then maybe you can follow this advice. But if you want the serious people, this is a good time. Number 2 on this list, ditch the holiday decor and make it meticulous.
Yeah, my opinion on that is, I suggest to my clients to use the holiday decor, but, limit it tastefully, not overkill, but really it adds to it, because most people have great memories of holiday, and that's, when you're having there's a difference between a house and a home, Ron, right?
Absolutely.
So you make it a home, and Christmas is a time to be home. And
right.
That's what makes the holidays a special time to sell.
Yeah, I'm just kind of dumbfounded by these. Number 3 was set a few clear no-show dates and times.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point at that point. Obviously, if you're having family over, you don't want to do showings, and just so if you plan it, that's what having a professional is all about.
Exactly. Talk to your realtor and say, something. Hey, I'm having family over Friday night or Thursday night or whatever. They can work around that as long as they know these things. Expect inconvenience and irritation.
Well, selling your house isn't the most convenient thing, period. So, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that, because the problem is when you sell it, hey, you are selling your home. So you are going to work and you are presenting the home. So is that going to be a little inconvenient? Absolutely.
Well, that's something I'm not sure I really agree with this one. Again, that's why I really stress people talk to professionals. And I'm not going to even go on with the rest of this.
This is ridiculous.
It is. Thank you, Ron.
You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network with Ron Siegel, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, Zen Ziejewski and I will be speaking about short sales, some more about the holidays, 7 reasons why your property won't sell. Remember to reach me anytime or to talk to Zen about that smoking hot deal he just shared with you. Call our off-air number, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or realestateradio.com. Stay tuned to the Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back in just a few.
She sends the kids to school, sees them off where the smoke is. She's the one they're going to miss in lots of ways.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.com for more info. That's realestateradio.com.
Ron Siegel here from Real Estate Radio with attorneys Christine Wilton and John Greifendorf. John, when should people file for bankruptcy?
Ron, people should file for bankruptcy before they spend their money to pay bills they may never pay off. Money is not personal, it's business. Your family's money is your business, and your job is to preserve it. That's your commitment. Bankruptcy is a powerful tool that allows people to eliminate their debts, regain control, and get a fresh start. That's why our founding fathers included bankruptcy in the Constitution.
Christine, why should we use bankruptcy instead of debt settlement or other services to stop the nagging phone calls?
We stop the phone calls immediately. It works for everyone, every time, where debt settlement fails over 90% of the time. Through bankruptcy, we get your family the fresh start you deserve and the Constitution grants.
To get the fresh start your family deserves, call Christine or John at 800-861-0786. That's 800-861-0786, or on the web at bancolaw.com. That's BANCO law.com. Determining the truth about reverse mortgages is not easy. You need to be educated on the program so that you can make the best decision for your personal situation. Basically, if you get a reverse mortgage, you'll be getting a loan that will allow you to have a monthly income coming in, or a large lump sum at once, or a credit line. You can get any combination of these things as well. If you have an existing loan, it will be paid off so you will not have a house payment. The monthly income you receive from the reverse mortgage is guaranteed, and you will receive it as long as you remain living in the home. Regardless of the length of your life, your debt can never be more than the worth of your home. For more information about reverse mortgages, just call our off-air number at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990, or visit realestateradio.com and click the free workshop button.
Have you been to car dealers only to be disappointed by their small inventory? That's not the case at Connell Nissan in Costa Mesa. The Connell family has been serving the community for well over 40 years. Connell Nissan in Costa Mesa wants to buy your car or truck. That's right. Go to ConnellNissan.com to receive your estimated value 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's CONNELL Nissan.com. Or better yet, take the 405 freeway, Harbor Boulevard exit, go south towards the beach about 1 mile to Connell Nissan in Costa Mesa.
Hi, we're here with Ron Siegel, the host of Real Estate Radio. Ron, welcome to the studio. Give us insight as to what your show is all about.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me. Thanks for asking me that question. The reason we developed Real Estate Radio is right now there is an abundance of misinformation out there. So Real Estate Radio is a show designed to give Southern California a focal point for their real estate knowledge, as well as a place to go just in case they might need anything real estate related.
So how are you helping people?
That's actually pretty simple. People need advice. So it really doesn't matter who you are. If you have any real estate questions, we're here to help. Whether you're buying a home, selling, you're experiencing a loan modification, short sale, foreclosure, there are a lot of things going on in this marketplace.
How can people get a hold of you?
Real easy. All you have to do is call. The number is 1-800-306-1990. Press option 1.
Interesting times in the market right now. Where do you think the markets are going from here?
That's a great question. All I can say is this. The housing market came down one house at a time, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build it one house, one family at a time. So the best thing that anyone can do is access the free advice that we really want to give you. And to do that, you simply need to call me. The number is 1-800-306-1990. Option 1. I'd really love to help.
Hi, I'm Gabe Alcantara, board operator here at KLAA. Season's greetings from the entire AM 830 family.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio with local expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Ron Siegel on the Real Estate Radio Network. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's my message, and I'll be delivering it every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on KLAA, AM 830 in association with ESPN. And please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Zen Ziejewski of Keller Williams Realty. Good morning, Zen.
Good morning, Ron. Good to be here again.
Zen is what we call a repeat offender. He was actually in with us on one of our very early shows, and we had all kinds of new announcements from Zen back then, but now we're just going to talk about the history of Zen. Licensed in California since 1988.
Oh, I'm getting old, Ron.
And then I see down here on the next item here, educated at the USC School of Business.
Yes, sir. It's a great university and proud of it. But it just allows me to bring that expertise and that business skill to the profession that I do, which is real estate.
And you know something I've said many times, it's very, very important to have the professionals, especially when you're dealing with your family's in most instances, your family's largest asset, your home, and your largest debt, your mortgage. You really need professionals. I'm looking, Zen's got all kinds of accomplishments, affiliations with the Orange County Association of Realtors, National Association, Southern California, California. You've been around, man.
Hey, yeah, 20 years that gets you around. So
20 years gets you, and then I'm looking at this chart a proprietary chart, and I found this fascinating when we sat down and spoke. Very interesting numbers, and I'm a numbers guy. I've said that many, many times. But you look back. Zen, you might have to help me here because I don't know where I lost some of my numbers here. Pending sales.
Yeah, and we're talking about Orange County. Obviously, you know, this I'm based out of South County, but you know, I'm a master of the market, and I really love to study the figures, and so I do these breakdowns for Orange County, and the numbers you have in front of you, Ron, are going to show the active listings in Orange County. But when you really, you know, and you look at pending sales, and you say, okay, pending sales, oh wow, that number looks pretty huge, but if you're really an expert, and I do a lot of work with short sales, and I train agents, and I help a lot of homeowners on the short sale side, you have to break down that number. Like right now, we have approximately 5,500 pending sales here in Orange County, but you have to break those down. What are short sales and what aren't short sales? So if you're looking at that chart, Ron, out of the 5,500 approximately homes, we've got over 3,000 that are pending short sales. Now, I have a short sale right now that's been pending for a year and a half.
Ooh.
Okay. So is that a realistic number to look at 5,500? I don't think so. And that's why you get an expert. You get people like Ron and I on your team. And we really break it down to show you we only have 2,441 pending non-short sale escrows in Orange County. So that's a huge difference from the 5,500 that is showing on the board.
Now, of those 2,441, what do you estimate is going to really close?
Well, I mean, last month was a great example. We had 2,415 non-short sale pending listings and only 1,777 closed.
So about 1 out of 3 does not close.
Yes. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It is, and it's very frustrating for buyers and sellers when they're going through the transaction and they just can't get to home plate.
You know, and we chat about that all the time on Real Talk about the fact of needing professional advice. And my background being in the mortgage business, we had an awful lot of lenders that really didn't know what they were doing. To be quite honest with you, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the lenders that just, you know, 3 years ago it was basically if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. These numbers here are proving that that's not the case anymore. You really just need to know. Now, my recommendation to people is before you go out and start spending your time and the professional realtor's time to make the offer, get pre-approved by a professional that can close the deal. Do you really want to go out there and find out, get your heart set on a piece of property? In my case, I would say more importantly in my case, in my household, I don't know, maybe there's other people that are like this. I don't want to sound sexist or anything, but I happen to handle most of the finances in our house. I would hate to go out and have my wife find a piece of property and place an offer on it, get it all the way to a contract, and then find out that I hadn't taken care of the finances and it's something that we can't afford. Would that not be just like the pits?
That is one of the things that I consult clients, because the problem is if you don't know where you're going to be financially and they haven't met with you, Ron, and they haven't given their financial, their numbers, and so you can say, because if we go out and we look at a property and they fall in love with it, but they can't afford it, their experience is not going to be good, because everything we're going to look at is going to compare to that. And so
absolutely.
So I always get them in front of a professional like Ron and just say, here, work with them. Let's get the numbers. Let's not look at something unrealistic. Let's look at something that's realistic. And then I'm going to find you that great property. And then on top of it, I'm going to use my skills and all my experience to negotiate you a great deal. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking at a 1/3 cancellation rate. There are just so many people out there. Agents have no experience. They're hiring their relatives or family members.
I was just going to say that. A lot of people will say, I can save some money by hiring my next-door neighbor's son's brother. Oh, wait a second. Why would you want to do that when you're talking about something so important?
Oh, yeah. And in
the long run, the money that you save, you're not going to save because a good agent, a great agent, we talked about this, Zen, you and I was a quote from Steve Harney, great educator of agents, talking about the fact that, we've washed out a lot of loan officers. We've washed out a lot of realtors in this market as well. And right now, basically, it's the good and the great are what's remaining. And Steve's comment was the good may not make it. So the bottom line is a great agent, and we'll put you in touch with great agents like Zen just by calling our number at 800-306-1990. We'll put you in touch with the great agents so that you can get the things done in the right order. And something, that commission that Zen makes or any other agent makes is not going to cost you a nickel because they're going to bring you value. They work for you. They're not getting paid because they look good. I mean, that's just not the way it is. They get paid because they provide a service to you. They're going to teach you the right way. And in the long run, if you go and look at the right property that's within your financial world, or in many instances, great agents have what's called pocket listings, things that the market doesn't know about. These are things that an agent will bring you, or a deal like Zen, the smoking deal that Zen talked about a little bit ago. He knows where these things are in the marketplace. So that's really what's important about using a great agent. Zen is an educator as well as a great agent. He educates not only the agents, his clients, but he educates the agents. And I'm looking at a PowerPoint that you did, Zen, 7 critical factors every homeowner must know about short sales.
Yeah, I spoke at the Christian Business Expo and was invited to speak about short sales. And, not only do I train agents, I educate my clients about them. And so I put together a presentation of the 7 critical factors every homeowner must know about short sales. And we're going to make this available on Ron's Facebook page. But it really is... It is part of the market. And like I said, I'm from Orange County, and I specialize here in Orange County. And right now, out of all our listings, we had at the start of the month with 10,700 homes listed for December. Compared to last year, actually, we're in about 7,500. So we're over 3,000 homes. And why? Is mostly because of short sales. But we had 30% last month and this month are short sales. So if you don't have an expert who knows how to work with them, or can take Ron and get him involved on the financing, because there's some financing specialties that we need to know about, it's critical.
Why don't you tell our audience what a short sale is, first off?
Okay, short sale is basically if we got to take the cost of selling a home and that balance, if you add the commissions and the sale price, is going to be less of the loan balance. The lender has to take what is short. They're taking a short pay. And that's why it's called short. And my quote is, there's nothing short about a short sale. It's a tedious process, and it's really going to work if you have somebody that's good working for you.
So you're listening to Real Estate Radio Network. We're going to get into this more with Zen, and we're going to discuss why sellers and banks do short sales. We might even try to get into a few of your emails. Remember to reach me or to reach Zen or any of our other great professionals. Call our off-air number at 800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or realestateradio.com. Connect with us on Facebook. Stay tuned to the Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back in just a few.
She's the one they're going to miss in lots of ways.
To you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.com for more info. That's realestateradio.com.
Reverse mortgages are loans against the equity of a senior American's home. With a reverse mortgage, the homeowner can convert their home equity into cash. It also benefits homeowners in many other ways. With most types of loans,
The lender verifies your income and uses that income to determine the amount you'll be able to pay. You don't have to satisfy the monthly repayments with a reverse mortgage. Homeowners over the age of 62 years may apply for a reverse mortgage even without any income. For more information about reverse mortgages, just call our off-air number at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990, or visit realestateradio.com and click the free workshop button.
Have you asked your employer what kind of home mortgage benefits your company offers? Cal Home Benefits has a complete range of home and mortgage benefits, which can save you $5,000 to $10,000 on your living expenses, and the benefit program is completely free to California businesses and groups. If your company or group is not offering home and mortgage benefits, please visit calhomebenefits.com or call 1-800-998-1990. That's 1-800-998-1990. It's free to the organization and can save you thousands. Real Estate Radio is hosted by local real estate and finance expert Ron Siegel. The purpose of this show is to help consumers understand what's really going on in our local real estate market. We're teaching you the why and the how-to, so you'll always be one step ahead of everyone else. Whether you need to sell your home for top dollar, refinance and save money, or even buy a bargain in Southern California, Ron Siegel can help. Call Ron directly at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Take advantage of speaking with Ron anytime you're entering a real estate transaction. Having someone who can answer all of your questions that truly cares about you and your family's best interest is priceless. Call Ron Siegel today and you'll be glad you did. 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or you can visit realestateradio.com for more info.
This is Mark Renaro, GM of Connell Nissan Costa Mesa, with some great news. We've just reduced the price of our new and pre-owned inventory. The reduced price is clearly posted on the vehicle and our website, connellnissan.com. Get the very best value on your next purchase without the car guy haggle. This includes those hard-to-find Altimas, Maximas, Murano, Rogue, and even the GTR. We're conveniently located just 1 mile south of the 405 on Harbor Boulevard. Visit us at connellnissan.com. Connell Nissan, family-owned, 46 years, is the #1 GTR dealer in the USA.
Are you a homeowner facing foreclosure? Do you need a plan to save your home? My name is Christine Wilton. I'm co-founder of the Greifendorf Law Offices. Bankruptcy has a plan that puts you in control. Call us today at 1-800-861-0786. That's 1-800-861-0786. Or on the web at bancolaw.com. That's BANCO law.com. We're a debt relief agency helping people file under the bankruptcy code.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Lee, board operator for KLAA. On behalf of the AM 830 staff, we'd like to wish you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio with local expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Dale from the Tara Grace Show. I know he's a big-time Notre Dame fan, and I'm sure he was really excited to see the USC victory yesterday. But really, we'll get back to our topic at hand. Welcome back to Real Talk with Ron Siegel on the Real Estate Radio Network. Having a little bit of fun here on a Sunday morning. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's my message, and I'll be delivering it every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on KLAA AM 830 in association with ESPN. And welcome to our featured guest, Zen Ziejewski of Keller Williams Realty. Good morning, Zen.
Good morning, Ron.
And we've been talking about the 7 critical factors of a short sale, and we talked about what that is just a moment ago. But the factor number 2 I found kind of interesting here, and this is something that I think most people will want to know, is why does a bank do a short sale, or why does a seller do a short sale?
Yeah, I mean, for the seller, it's avoiding the foreclosure, and obviously I'm not an attorney or a CPA, so I always give that disclaimer up front. Everyone's situation.
We don't want them in here.
Exactly. It's a situation, based on someone's personal situation. But the thing is that, sellers do a short sale to avoid the foreclosure and to minimize the damage to their credit and their liability. Also, the banks, the biggest thing, I go to a lot of seminars across the country, and I'm going to be meeting with the Vice President of Bank of America on Monday to talk about their short sales and what's going on in the new year. And the thing is that the banks save money by doing short sales. On average, $30,000 to $40,000 versus a foreclosure.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so there are advantages to them, but they're very complex.
And from a lending standpoint, for the most part, I know the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA guidelines are changing, but it's much more advantageous to you as a homeowner, as the seller, to go through the short sale process amiably, however that word is, other than going through the foreclosure process. So it's a win-win on a lot of fronts.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, also, Ron, is the SB 931. It's the first law that we've just had passed specifically to short sales. So we don't have time to get into it, but if anyone wants to contact you or myself on your toll-free number, I'd love to talk to them.
800-306-1990, shameless plug there.
Yes, and that's the SB 931, specifically to short sale and deficiency, and how that's going to affect homeowners going forward beginning January 1st of 2011.
Now, from what I've gathered from the folks I've talked to, you probably don't want to be trying to do this on your own.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's pretty complex. I'm assuming there's a lot of paperwork and...
Yeah, it really is almost like it's like requalifying for a loan, but showing that you can't afford the property. But also, I use the analogy of as a jigsaw puzzle. It's a 100-piece jigsaw puzzle. If you don't have an agent that can walk you through this and help you put all the pieces together, it's going to fail. Because what people don't realize is only 1 out of every 4 short sales gets approved, and about 1 out of 3 close. So your percentage of short sales in the overall picture is very small. So that's why if you have a professional who understands short sales, who can guide you and can get you through the process, your success rate of getting it done and avoiding foreclosure is so much higher.
That's amazing. And I'm assuming that there's little roadblocks in there?
There are, and there's pitfalls. The critical factor of number 4 was pitfalls. And, it's a long process. I've got one going 1.5 years, but the one that I just talked about, the one that we just, like I said, the Black Friday deal of the week, for $389 that sold for $671,000. We got it for $389. We've got that improved, in less than 30 days. So when you have somebody that's good, we can avoid some of those pitfalls and get it done for you timely.
That's the fastest I've heard of, is getting it done in less than 30 days.
Yeah, and some of the banks are getting better, and I can walk people through to do an analysis of their situation to let them know and say, hey, you are with like Chase, it's brutal, and then if you go with another bank that's a lot faster, there's several other banks that are just doing it much more streamlined, have got their acts together.
Now, what's the effect of a short sale on the neighborhood?
The short sale on the neighborhood is much better than a foreclosure for the most part, because usually somebody's going to occupy the home. They're usually going to keep it up, versus on a foreclosure, the property could be sitting there for months waiting for the bank to decide stuff, or they have vacated it for months, and the banks are so slow and taking their time on what they're going to do. That really affects it. And then usually the foreclosure price is going to be less than the short sale price.
Okay, now here's the biggie then, Zen. That's a little tricky one here. Back, about 2 months ago, we talked about this. It was an article out of Seattle that the car salespeople were going from car sales to loans in 2007. Then they went to loan mods. And now the newest one is going into short sales.
Yes.
Are the scams out there, or
yeah.
What do we have to look for there?
Yeah, here's the thing. The thing is when a notice of default is, that's we call in our profession NOD, if a notice of default is filed, it becomes public record. And at that point, everybody knows about your situation, and now they are coming after you, all the scams left and right. And that's why you need to have someone who knows what's going on, and give you the options to make that decision that's best for your family, whether it's a loan mod, whether it's, a deed in lieu. that's when you need that professional to step in. I sit with and consult with my clients, and I let them know, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to necessarily sell your house. I want to help you one family at a time. And that's where, I get the joy from my business.
Something, and I love that message because that's our message at the Real Estate Radio Network as well. Helping, this market collapsed one house at a time, one family at a time. It's going to come back one house, one family at a time. So I really appreciate that information, Zen. I hope that all of you appreciate the information Zen's sharing as well. And that was a great show today, and I thank our featured guest, Zen Ziejewski of Keller Williams. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your morning with us. A very big thank you to Jeremy Lee for making me sound good every week and kind of running with our curveballs.
Thanks, Jeremy.
That's all for Ron Siegel's Real Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. Again, if you have any questions, call me anytime at 800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. You can reach out to us at realestateradio.com. You can go to the Facebook page. I got a note. Jeremy brought me in a note this morning about the upcoming show, Men's Dugout with Tara Grace. Now, I'm going to have to run out of the studio really quick so I can listen to this. I think you're going to want to as well. Tara has the world record holder for space shuttle missions and is developing technology for interplanetary travel. I mean, that sounds just amazing. I can't wait to hear this, and I'm sure you will as well. So have a great week, SoCal. We'll talk to you next Sunday right here on AM 830. Remember, if you aim for nothing, you'll achieve nothing.
The preceding was a paid program. Opinions expressed are those of the program sponsors and not necessarily